We are now live streaming. I'll just go on the group and make sure that I can see it appear.
Can't quite see it just yet. I'm on my phone just to see if it comes up.
It's quite, have you seen? There we go. We are live.
Okay.
Yeah, brilliant. So I'll just, yeah, as everybody now knows that I am all right on Zoom, but it's just the, people have now managed to jump on. So I'm just going to jump on it on my phone so that I can see all the relevant. There we go. Perfect. So hello, Anna. It's so nice to see you again.
You too.
I knew that you would be the perfect person to come and do this, because it's really bizarre how we've covered Insecurities Week, and then this week's like a little bit of both because it's low self-esteem.
Yeah.
But I did a live with Mike. His name is Fotio. I think that's how you pronounce it. You'll probably end up shouting at me for pronouncing it wrong, but it's Kodak moment. That's what I say. And he was talking about the inner child and positive reinforcement. And what he did say is we needed to do some homework. And he was saying, when you catch yourself under your breath going, you fucking minute, he says you need to stop yourself because your brain can hear that. And I thought, I
might be covering a little bit of this as well, for sure. I will definitely go into a little bit of that and just really hope to kind of provoke those thoughts. And I think, you know, we hear it, but I love an analogy. I love it when we can kind of really liken stuff to stories, because that's what really sits with us and it resonates with me. And I think I'm not alone in saying that. It resonates with a lot of people. So yeah, we are going to be going over a little bit of that, and I want to keep it a little bit short and sweet as much as I possibly can, because you know what I am like. So much information, and I'm so passionate about it, and you know, it
shows. So passion away.
Okay, so hi everybody. Self-esteem. So I am a bit of a word geek, and I love to look up words, and I think there's so many words that we use day to day, and we don't really know what they actually mean, like, you know, when you delve down into them. And I think self-esteem is one of those. And I was like, self-esteem, like we hear it, it's like, oh, I've got low self-esteem, or you know, people say things like that, and you know, oh, you know, esteem this and esteem, and here's an esteemed gentleman. And I'm like, you know what, you use these words and I think, what do they actually mean? So I had a bit of a research, which is not unlike me. So basically its etymology and its roots come from the French estime, and before that the Latin estimare, and both of those mean to estimate.
Right. So, okay.
Very nicely linked. So basically, and that is to estimate the worth or the value of something. And in this case, it's us. We are evaluating our self-worth.
Just say those Latin and French terms again.
So I'm not super great at pronunciation, but I'm going to go for the French is estime.
Yeah.
So you know, you can, you know, estimate. Yeah. Can see where that comes from, and the Latin is estimare, so written like aesthetics, so estimare. So again, and they mean to estimate the value or the worth of something, and in this case it's self-value, self-worth. So low self-esteem can kind of really come from those self-limiting beliefs, and I've talked about this before, about self-limiting beliefs, and they are, again, the beliefs, strongly held opinion or fact, that limit us, that limit ourselves, and we do that to ourselves, and we really
good at it, aren't we?
Yeah, we're focusing at it, and you know, if you want to have a check out, so I did the other video on this, and I don't want to delve into that, but it might just knit the two together really well. But yeah, so it's a strongly held fact or opinion, and this is massively linked to kind of, like I say, the goals thing that we were talking about, and it all kind of really stems from this, you know, the words we use to speak to ourselves, really simply. So yeah, if you do check out the other video on which to speak out, it will probably fill in some of the blanks for you. So the words that we use really do create the reality and the world that we experience and the state of mind that we experience. And everyone's had those days where, you know, you're like, I think a guy on here the other day, you were saying, you get up in the morning, you're like, oh, I am tired. And it's like, what we say, and what happens, oh, you don't exactly feel all like, woohoo, yeah, when you say things like that to yourself. And you affirm you know, that you are tired, that state, which might be a state and a state of mind experienced as a temporary thing in life, not permanent. So you might get up and you're like, oh, I'm tired. You might get up and you're like, oh, that aches. Now you can either completely succumb to that, oh my God, I can't, and go down the rabbit hole, or you can be like, all right, I'm okay, actually, you know. And if all you can manage is, for me, when you start out with self-talk and working to combat these beliefs and build our self-esteem, is I am okay is better than some of the other stuff.
Do this.
That, you know, that's it. So the words that we use really do create our reality. And I've had to do, like, especially lately, I've said to Amy before we skipped on the call, a lot of self-talk, and I've historically had to do a lot of self-talk, and I think it's become a really practiced thing for me now. So quite often I can catch it within my head. So generally people, the kind of stuff that we start coming out with on a day-to-day basis, like, oh, I'm tired, or oh, I'm this, or I'm that, insert whatever the negative is, can really be it can really undo us gently and slowly. It's like, literally, it's like having a yarn, and you just pick it, and then your whole kind of day unravels, and you stump your toe. God, it's this, it's a bad day. God, and then before you know it, you know, the whole day's gone down. Exactly. And I think you put something about, you know, about this on before. So I had to do a lot of it. And sometimes when I'm like a bit stressed, I walk around the house and I'm like, whoa, I get this like swell of an overwhelmed feeling. And I'm just like, you're all right, you're fine, you're fine, you're fine, you are fine, and you can do this. And I will affirm that out loud, because it's like sending that message to your brain, to that subconscious part. And I think I talked about this in the other thing. You've got the iceberg, the bit that we know. The subconscious brain is like the massive chunk underneath, that basically works, and it takes instructions from the conscious. The conscious is what we're talking about now. We're consciously aware that we're having this conversation, and you know this is happening, and we know all the conversations that we have when we get up and we say things like we're tired, or, you know, etc., etc. So I still do it, and depending on where my head's at, sometimes I have to say it out loud, sometimes I can catch it in my head. And I kind of get now, because I've probably been doing it for about 8 to 10 years, because I had to, because the words that I was telling myself were slowly undoing and destroying me, as they can. They are so powerful. And, you know, people say sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Well, you know what? How many people remember the slap that they got as a kid? But how many people remember that horrible word that kid at school said to them, etched in their brain?
Absolutely, you know? On the nail.
And that can go back to those self-limiting beliefs, and that, you know, if somebody says something, your brain picks it up, and it starts to then look for things to you know, to back up that it's true. See other video. So basically, I've now got to the point where I almost can feel it. And what I like to do when these things come up is, I don't really like to give them what I call airtime, as in, you know, let them come to that point where they become a thought,
a value.
I kind of like, I feel them, I can almost feel them, and then generally it's in my gut, you know, just at that sternum, just where you feel sick, you feel that second brain, really, where they say that after the brain there is a second amount of neurons in that stomach area. Right. And some you know, some people would argue that it's a first brain, it's that instinctual gut from when we were kind of cavemen. But yeah, so I've had to do a lot around this, and I'm now at the stage where I recognize the thoughts as a rising feeling, and I will start to kind of almost throw water on the fire of them by, you know, affirming, no, you're fine, no, you've got this, you're in control, you're in control, you're in control, you're in control, you've got this, you've got this, you've got this, you are fine, you can do this, like I would talk to you if you were melting down on me. You have got this, you have got this. And at first you kind of like, there's that head in your brain, because this is all, again, fight or flight response, everything's kind of going, everything's kind of like, no, run away, protect yourself. And it's like, so I need to feel that, you know, this sensation that's coming up, you know, it's there for protection. That's all these feelings and thoughts are, you know, is there to protect us. So when you start saying, actually, no, you're okay, it's like, oh, but you know, it's coming back and it's coming back. So you kind of have to really stroke it down with the words and really soothe that part of you that is going, whoa, no, something's going to happen. And that's where it comes from. So we can perpetuate whichever bit of that we want. We can perpetuate the, oh gosh, yes, everything is out of control, everything is out of control, everything is out of control. We can perpetuate that, or we can go, hang on, let me just breathe. Like, have I got control? And, you know, almost self-coach, you know, I am okay. You know, like what's really going on here? What's the worst thing? And, you know, before we get to that stage, we can just literally affirm what we actually want to kind of have, like I say, pouring that proverbial water of, you know, I'm okay, I'm safe, I'm safe, I'm safe. And you might literally have to be like, I am safe, I am safe, I am safe. My blind was clattering. I thought somebody was in my bedroom last night other than my husband. And
oh, I know, it's like
and we got the windows open because it was kind of a bit mild, and I love sleeping with the cold windows, just the kind of cold, I feel lovely and fresh. And the blind was knocking on the bottom, and I almost felt like it was horrible, and I was terrified. And I was like, I opened my eyes and I put my light on and I looked around, and my heart was doing that thing.
Yeah.
Subconsciously, that was heard, like dogs lying in a pack. One twitches, the other twitches, and the pack's up. And I was like, he was fast asleep. Andrew didn't even know it. Didn't even know. And I was just like, oh my gosh. So I had to just check it out. I looked at the window, you know, you do your little checks, and I was like, I am okay. And this is fine. I am okay. And this is fine. And then I'm like, you know, rationalize it. The dog would have kicked off massively. You know, and so it's kind of like, you know, but I had to say to myself, I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay. And I had to repeat it a long time. I'm safe, I'm safe, I'm safe. I had to kind of tell that fight or flight in a monkey, whoa, you're okay, you're okay, you're okay. And it's not just, I'm okay, yeah, I'm okay. You have to really, like you would a child that was distraught, like you would a distraught child. They're not, you know, you're not just like they fall over and they hurt, and you're like, you're okay, and they're like, oh, breaking the heart. You'd have to really smooth it, really, I've got you, you are okay. Look, I'm here, you're okay. And that's almost like, you know, a version of self-talk and affirming to yourself that you are okay. And all these things over and over will kind of really help to build that that self-esteem. And, you know, like most people say, I'll believe it when I see it. And one of my favorite authors, Wayne Dyer, he's like a transformational author, amazing guy. You can find loads of his stuff on YouTube. He says, you will see it when you believe it.
Yes.
So, you know, I'll believe that when I see it. It's like, you have to start believing, you know, when you start going to the gym, it's dead easy. You start a diet, you have to believe that it's going to happen. You don't see it. You know what I mean? You have to really believe that first, and then you start to see it. So it's very much the same with this. And sometimes you might feel really stupid doing it, and, you know, but no, like try it and try it and try it. And I'll just come on to a few little things in a minute as to why this thing works. So yeah, check out Wayne Dyer. I highly recommend his work. He's really, really good guy. And like I say, YouTube, there's loads of stuff he does that's motivational. So that's another thing that's amazing, is like they say that we're the sum of the 5 people that we spend the most time with. So, you know, are you on, you know, sites that are bringing your self-esteem down? Are you, you know, looking and trawling and comparing? And we all do to a degree. And, you know, are you filling your mind with positive stuff? Like, for instance, listening to Dr. Wayne Dyer, who will fill your mind with amazing things. And I've got loads and loads of recommendations if people want of, you know, positive stuff. But you can find it. Some of it's cheesy, some of it you're like, whoa, that's too much for me. Some of it will resonate. But, you know, what are you filling your mind with? Is it trash TV in the morning, or is it something that's going to motivate you, something that's going to make you think, oh wow, gosh, yeah, that light bulb moment, you know? So again, all those things will either light bulb moment you, will make you think, they might make you cry, they might make you realize a pattern you've been playing out just by, you know, listening to them. And again, whatever you're putting in there, your subconscious mind, like you said, Mike was saying, it hears it. And if you're saying things out loud as well, if you go around, I think we said this again, trash talking yourself, like, gosh, you're rubbish. You are so rubbish, Emma. What, you failed today. Now, if you start that inside your head, if you start hearing that, you kind of start, it's like almost like an assault from the inside, you know, and it breaks you down slowly. And again, self-limiting belief, you start then looking for things like, oh, I dropped that. Oh, I broke a plate. God, I am rubbish, aren't I? You know, and you will start acting out because your brain then needs to believe what you're telling it, you know. See other video again. So basically, if we start saying the things out loud, and I'm quite good at this, and my personality type is such that I process out loud. I always process out loud to people's detriment. Like, people, it drives my family mad, and Andrew, and it's talking to me, and like, nah. And it's just, it's something I've always done. I used to drive the people that I worked with in an office like crazy, because I'd be like, I'm just going to do this, and then I'm going to do that. You know, I am that person. So I think you really need to kind of just be careful. And if you start kind of hearing that trash, maybe just give it a little bit of start saying it out loud, and just check your body response for what it's happening.
Yeah.
You know. And then again, when you start practicing things like, you know, just if it's coming out of you and coming out of your mouth, you will then potentially start hearing it, and hopefully you should be really shocked by it, because if somebody else was saying that to you, you'd be like, what the heck? You know, I'm not taking that.
Yeah.
So we take it off ourselves, which is crazy. So, you know, it really brings your attention to it. If you know, we do it under our breath really well. It's like, oh God, I'm such an idiot. And then I kind of like, oh, actually, you know, you're not. You're a good person. You're trying your best. You know, you're doing the best you can. And again, this is another thing to talk about when we're doing affirmations. So affirmations, the things that we affirm, the things that we say over and over again to break those patterns and pathways of the negative things and the limiting beliefs that we have for various reasons. Again, check other video. Otherwise this is going to be so long. So we what we want to do is really draw attention to how we want to be feeling, not how we don't want to be feeling. You know, I don't want to be, you know, I don't feel sick, because our brain does not recognize negatives. So if it's, for instance, I don't want to feel sick, your brain will hear, I want to feel sick, I want to feel sick, I don't want to feel sick. So if you have a sentence, you really need to omit that, because the brain won't. And this is a great example. If anyone's got kids or other halves, not alike kids or other halves in any way. Anyway, so you give a child a cup quite often. You know, it's like an open cup like this. You go, don't spill it. Now, you pretty much, as a parent, Amy, you're probably going to realise that kid's going to tip that all the way down themselves. Yeah. So that's how powerful it is. So there's examples in life, and I have a couple more for you as well. That if you say, you know, don't spill it, the kid just hears spill it. The same way people say, you know, don't think of a pink elephant. All you think of is a pink elephant. You know, don't think of, you know, Thor with his hammer slightly naked and maybe a bit oiled in the body. Don't think of it. No, don't. So don't, because your brain just emits the negative. So the classic is amazing. How many people have lost car keys? I can't find my car keys. Can't is basically cannot. Negative is not is a negative. I can find my car keys. Brain hears I cannot. So strong is the brain that 9 times out of 10, guys, you will have been over the sofa, down the sides of it, in all the pockets. Where are your car keys? About the second place you looked, right? But you were affirming, I can't find them. God, where are my car keys? I can't find them. So because the brain really needs to back up what you believe, and at this moment it's, I can't find my car keys. Otherwise, that's a belief, that's a strongly held fact and opinion. I can't find my car keys. So your brain's like, oh, there are the car keys. She can't find them, so she needs to not find them. And you've been, you know what I mean, don't you? You've been
absolutely. And you've looked over them, haven't you? Yeah.
15 times maybe, and you're like, oh my God, as if it was there. So one of the best things, and I would really invite you guys to try this, next time you have I can't find my, or where's, you know, mainly if you're like, I can't find, like, oh, I can't find my phone, that's one, isn't it? I can't find my phone, or I can't find that pair of shoes or whatever. Just say, I can see this, I can see my phone. I know where my phone is. I can see where I put my phone. My phone is staring me in the face. And keep doing it and keep searching, but with that pattern in your head, that affirmation, I can find my phone, I can see it, it's right there, my phone is right there, my phone is right in front of me. And you know what? It's there. Honestly, it was one of the most powerful things that a guy I used to work with, and he said to me, I was like, yeah, has it? And I did it, and I do it all the time now. But humanly, you still have that, I can't find it. It's like, it's mental, because that belief and that whole brain, you know, you need to at that moment feel and believe that what you're saying is true. So the brain will have seen the car keys, it will have literally scanned your room, it will have seen them, but the power over the brain with the words is like, no, you can't see them, sorry, or we can't see them, So imagine that. If you then take that, please try that, guys, and please put it in the group. It's amazing, and you know, really, really amazing. But yeah, definitely flip that over and see how that goes, because it's a game changer. And if you apply that to the how you are speaking to yourself, oh my God, game changer. So if you're writing affirmations and stuff as well, I strongly recommend, like, I'm a bit crazy, I'm going to admit, I am, but I like it. It's positive crazy, and I like it. And I do affirmations every morning after I do like a little meditation. And I know people say, like, oh, you know, like, you do a bit of this and a bit of that, and you know, I can't possibly do things like that. Okay, funny, huh? So, you know, if you want it to change, it can change. If you don't, that's really simple, because as much as you think you want to change, there's a belief in you that isn't strong enough to make you want to make those changes, to affect those changes, you know, mind, body, spirit, etc. So I do 2 pages in the morning, and some are very personal, and some are around business, and some are around personal stuff. But yeah, so one of my affirmations in the morning is, I might have to just close my eyes because I do them with my eyes closed, is something like, my words have the power to cleanse my mind of unhelpful ideas and to instill helpful ideas and patterns. So super positive. My words have the power to cleanse my mind of unhelpful ideas and to instill helpful ideas and patterns. And I say each affirmation, it takes me about 7 minutes. Sometimes I do it when I'm walking the dog and he's around the field and I know it's safe. And it's really lovely to do it like in the wind, and it was raining today, and it just felt like everything was blowing away, and it felt like we're kind of going up to the universe. And it felt amazing to do it. Sometimes I do them when I'm in bed with, you know, after I've done a meditation, whenever, whatever. Just do them, and I repeat them 3 times because I just like it. And in lots of, you know, lots of religions and philosophies, 3 is like a real special thing. The pyramids, the Holy Trinity, the Maiden Mother, the Goddess. There's loads of, you know, of kind of analogies with that, and sacred in different practices as well. So I like 3. If you want to do 3 affirmations or 5 and do them each 8 times, knock yourself out. It's fab. Whatever you want to do, just feel into it. So I am is a really, really powerful thing. I'd say they're like 2 of the most powerful things that you put before anything that you say. I am, insert negative, straight down. I am, you know, I am confident, even if, you know, you're not really feeling that right now, but you really want to. I am confident. I am confident. I am confident. And all of a sudden, the words and the sensation, the feeling, you know, and it will take a couple of days, guys. It will. I think Rachel touched on this.
Yeah, she did.
66 days. And you know what? I've started doing, I've probably been doing it, which isn't true. I've probably been doing it for about 5 or 6 months. I know all my affirmations off by heart. Maybe I have to close my eyes when I do it generally, because that's when, you know, that. But if you can get into a state as well, guys, of doing it after a meditation, if that's your bag, great. If you want any tips on that, maybe that's another vid. But with regards to affirmations, to speak to that subconscious part of our mind, that part that acts on the stuff that we say, we need to kind of get that into this. We need to get them kind of into us in this, it's called alpha theta brain state. And it's like before you're falling asleep and you just that, oh, I was nearly asleep. Or just that weird dream where you're like, oh, I had a dream, but I wasn't really. Or I call it sunbed sleep as well. Or when you're in a deep relaxation massage, you feel like you're falling off. You know you're there, you can hear your own snoring, and you know it's that very deep. Now that's a challenge to achieve, but there are, like, if you put certain music on, and I think there's an app that I can recommend that has, it's that spa stuff that's generally going a bit kind of
yes,
or a bit like, you know, very like a pulsing, that kind of a thing. And if you can get that, meditation practice can do it, sound can do it with 2 different sound modalities, talking forks, bowls. They can really induce that stillness and that brain. Here you go. They can really induce that. And it really just gets that brain into the now, even if you don't, that is it's just great to do it anyway. But if you can get it into that slightly sleepy kind of, you know, feeling, it's a good thing. But if you can't, you know, it's absolutely fine. Don't worry,
keep
just
practicing.
do them. So you were talking a bit about Mike saying about the inner child and stuff. And I just really wanted to share with you, this is, I don't know if you guys or anybody on here or you, Amy, watched a program. It was set in like the 90s, so it was like when I was growing up, and it was called My Mad Fat Diary. Did you watch it?
I have seen something there. Yes. Yes.
Brilliant. And this girl is going through stuff, very angsty and very teenagey stuff.
Yes.
And she's like 17, 18. She's called Rachel something, and they call her Ray. Anyway, definitely worth checking out if you want to watch something that's good. And especially if you're a 90s kid and you grew up in the music and stuff, it was great. And she's in therapy. She's got issues and stuff. And there's a point in it where she's seeing her counsellor. And he says to her, she goes in and he's like, you know, how's things? And she's like, God, everything's crap. I'm fat, I'm ugly, nobody loves me, I'm never going to get a boyfriend. And he listened to her, and she's, you know, she's doing all this. And he says, take a seat, sit down. And he says, I just want you to imagine over there on that other chair that there is you at 5 years old, 6 years old.
Yes. Oof.
And says to him, so, and it becomes this little girl is there, and he says, so, you know, if you do this with an image of yourself, and he says to her, tell her she's fat, tell her she's ugly, tell her nobody loves her, tell her no one's ever going to love her. And she breaks down, and she can't, and I break down, and Andrew's in tears. and it's like, when you speak to yourself and you affirm these things, you are speaking to every part of you, past, present, and future. Now, you know, all those little things that might have been told to us when we were growing up, all those things will kind of, that's where we kind of establish these self-limiting beliefs from. So each time we affirm those negatives, those things, it gets stronger. You're backing them up, Amy. Exactly. They're getting stronger. And how much power, and this is all about self-protection as humans. You know, it's all about protection. All these modalities are here to protect us. But in this modern life, they undo us, because there's no tiger waiting in the bushes to run from. No one, so they can really, really undo us. But we can also kind of come back at them. So be really, really careful what we say to ourselves. And if that works for you, imagine that picture. I've got a little picture of myself, like a little one. Under, you know, everyone's got those kid pictures, haven't they, that you know it's you. Make it one that's not maybe a photo. Make it one where you can physically see yourself. You are associated with that. You're in that image. If it's safe to feel that, or you totally remember being at your grandma's side when that picture was taken. And just imagine telling that person they're never going to succeed in anything, you know. Because ultimately you're telling yourself that is now that it's not separate from you, it's all part of you. So like you say, each time we affirm it gets stronger, and you know, the limiting belief is affirmed. So we can change it. We definitely can change it if we want to.
Yeah.
And this is the thing. So it's like, what is our motivation to change it? So, you know, when we go into finding that, we can then start working with the affirmations. And it's kind of like, I always say this, it's like, you know, whatever we're put into and, you know, some of our traumas come from childhood, and some of those beliefs come from childhood, and we can work to break them down steadily and slowly. But it is about, like, we might not have had a control over what happened. Many of us didn't. And the words that were spoken to us. But we know things now, and the things that I'm telling you, you know, come from kind of like a neuroscience, psychology background. And, you know, we know so much, and we do have control now over the things that we speak to ourselves. Nobody else speaks our words to us. Nobody physically can.
Yeah.
Nobody can really get in here unless we let them in. And that's a whole strength of character thing, you know. And we also come to it a little bit, but if we practice affirming our own worth in ourselves by telling ourselves we are loved, you know, we are worthy, we are beautiful, you know, we are, you know, respected. And, you know, Louise Hay, I'm a big follower of some of her work as well. She's a big one over mirror affirmations. And if you can't say it in the mirror, I get it. But if you can, the power of looking into your own eyes, I'm all right, I'm quite a visual person, so I like doing it meditatively and eyes closed and visualize a lot. That's how I work. But if you can look at yourself, or if you want to look at that picture of yourself, whatever it is, or just hold a picture of yourself and close your eyes and imagine that you're looking at that little girl or that little boy, or whatever anybody identifies as, and you are talking to them, that eventually becomes you. So you kind of almost psychologically in a brain patterning where you're kind of like feeding them what they needed to become you, if that makes sense. You know. So there's loads of ways of playing with the brain, and when we do things like that and visualizations, the brain can't really tell whether something happened really or whether it happened as a memory. So when we kind of play with memories and stuff, other work that I do, safely, very safely and very carefully, we can figure you know, replaying that memory for a positive and more effective way for us. But that's a tangent, so apologies. But yeah, so when we start, you know, talking to ourselves in a negative way, it's like planting ourselves in poison soil. If you plant a little tiny sapling in, you know, soil with poison and stuff that's not positive, what's going to happen? It's not, yeah, take it out, you put it in some really beautiful thing, and you know, and I think we're the same. We are as nourished as the surroundings we grow in, you know, whether that's stuff we couldn't control as a kid, but now we can lift ourselves out of that whatever shitstorm of our lives was, and we choose our soil. We do choose our soil. And once you can get around that, you know, again, that could be a great affirmation. I choose how I want to feel. I choose, I intend, I fully intend and affirm that I feel, you know, anything I am, intend, feel, you know, whatever it is. And if people want to, you know, obviously ask any questions or anything like that, feel free to, you know, to drop in. But what I also want to say is, again, if you've got affirmations, it's really, there's a couple of people that I've worked with lately. I'm like, oh, that's great. That is really great. But just my gift to you would be
switch it.
Yeah. And so I think that is, you know, sometimes we think we're telling ourselves the best things, and you know, and I'm quite aware of it, and I'm aware of it when I work with people, because I've practiced on myself. And again, this is another thing, practice how you speak to the people that you are, you know, around, you know, how you speak to the kids, the loved ones in your lives, and you know, and just really notice that, so that when you can start actually, oh yeah, I didn't mean that, or oh, apologies, you know, that wasn't how it was kind of meant to be. And once you start being so awareness, like anything, diet, exercise, anything that we do, awareness of how we're behaving is you know, one of the key foundation pillars. And then what we're telling ourselves, because what we're telling ourselves affects our behavior. I'm tired, you get up and you're like, oh, you go downstairs, you're like, coffee. Now if you went down, you're like, okay, you that thing in your head's playing and it's going, I'm tired, and don't give it any airtime, don't say anything, you just recognize it. And then you just kind of like, okay, I'm all right though. This is going to be all right. I'm just gonna get up. Yeah, I'm gonna wash my face. It's gonna be a good day. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. Just gently coax yourself through it. Affirm that it's going to be okay. So that's another way of working with, like, affirming whatever we tell ourselves. And repatterning, changing the record, because you know, people say, oh, change the record. Yeah, change it. Change the record that you are telling yourself, because guys, it's only you that's telling yourself that, you know. And you know, like when we have, you know, I'm just gonna go there. But yeah, so yeah, and like Rachel said, the 66-day repetition. So whether you pick one affirmation, and I think once you get into this, you're like, oh, well, I like this, or oh, you know, I am abundant in all areas of my life. It could be one. And you know, people think abundance is money. It could be a home, it could be a roof over your head, it could be healthy children, it could be a pair of pugs, you know, a loving partner, you know, some money in the bank, food in the fridge. That is abundance, you know. And you know, you know, so again, it's a lot of appreciating where we're at rather than wanting something that we haven't got, because ultimately I think when we look outside of ourselves, there's all sorts of things that, again, tangent, stop it, Emma.
Shall I go to the comments and see?
Yeah, I've got one little thing that I'd just like to leave with. Okay, so if you guys want to close your eyes, I've got a little story for you, so it's up to you or not. I just think stories kind of really land. So this is a little story about an old Cherokee Indian who is teaching his grandson stories about life, and he says to his grandson, "There's a fight going on inside me." He says, "It is a terrible fight, and it's between two wolves. One is evil. He's terrible. He's angry. He's envious. He is full of sorrow, regret, greed, arrogance, self-pity, guilt, resentment, inferiority, lies, false pride, superiority, and ego." The old Cherokee continues. He says, "The other is good. He is joy. He is peace. He is love, hope, serenity, humility, and kindness, benevolence, empathy, generosity, truth, compassion, and faith. The same fight is going on inside of you and inside of every other person too." The grandson turned to his grandfather after he had thought about this for a minute, and then he said, "But grandfather, which wolf will win?" And the old Cherokee smiled simply and replied, "The one you feed."
I knew that. Oh.
And we all know it.
Yeah.
Simple.
Oh, it's proper moved me, that has, because actually it was a mentor that gave me that a couple of weeks ago, and to hear it being said like that, it's like, yeah.
I think that's where I think the power of storytelling, when you closed eyes, is like, when we take any sense away, the others increase. So I think, yeah, for me, that's been in my life for years, and I think it very much is. And, you know, when we feed the envy, the jealousy, you know, when we've got situations, and that's, you know, in a real life sense, with friends, with issues, it's like sometimes we have to go distance ourselves from that, because as much as, you know, their intentions, their beliefs mean something to them, can affect us negatively. And sometimes we're like, I can't be, I choose to be free of that situation.
Yeah.
You know, again, just affirming that. And yeah, so if you want to go to any comments, or if you've got anything to say.
Just bloody amazing. Stuart Gomes, love it. I'm a total geek, so I'm loving this. Drew, when I started paying attention to this, I realized how often I was saying idiot to myself when I did something wrong or forgot something. It takes effort to change, but it really is worth it. Thanks, Stuart. And Drew has put you know, high fives up there. So yeah, you've been incredible. And again,
bless you.
You've changed my mindset, because, as you know, I've had a few very difficult days in the last week or so, and this has really been a turning point for me tonight, and I knew it would be. And I was very nervous about doing this, because I think it's almost like I am facing my fear, but I'm doing something about it. So you're remarkable.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you so much. And I think, again, you know, in the morning, like, I put on audiobooks and I'll be washing my teeth, and I'm like, you know, I will change my mindset. I have a choice to change my mindset. So, you know, even like you've just said, you came to this and you're like, I think this is going to do me some good. And, you know, it's like everything. You're like, oh, I think it's going to do me some good doing anything, whether it's that diet, whether it's that exercise, whether it's going for a long walk, and you're a bit like, But when you kind of just embrace it a bit, you relax a bit, you stop that resistance a little bit, you get a gift, you know. And I think, you know, even you just listening to this, it changes your mindset, it changes it. You can't to listen to something like this, you see, it's like that can't, it's like, to, you know, and you start emitting it in different areas. And obviously we can't omit the negatives completely, but, you know, you start to find the positives in what you need, and you start to look for the messages that nourish the soil in which you grow. And in a human sense, that's the stuff that we put in here, that programs in here that affects this whole thing and the people in our lives and everything. And it's powerful. It's so powerful, you know. Yeah, words are remembered, you know. Words are really remembered.
You're an absolute angel. You really
Bless
are.
you. Bless you. You are too, lady.
Do you know, that's one of the big things, is when it really spoke volumes to me. It was like, no, I am unhappy with what I'm doing with my life. This was before December, and like as Reach to Speak Out was formed, and I'm just digging my heels in and I'm saying, no, there's got to be change. There will be change, because to communicate and to feel normal about mental health will break down so many barriers. And I will allow someone to challenge me, but expect it back, because I am not going to be silenced this time round.
Definitely. And I love that. I think like mental health within an NHS sense, as amazing as it is, it's and I think we've talked about this before, it's like, for me, it doesn't give you the tools. And for me, I am the kid at school and I'm like, why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? Oh, because we always do it. And like, this is why I can't work for people. Why are you doing that? Because we've always done it like that. But why? Is it working now? If it isn't, shall we change that? Oh, it's just how it's always been. I'm like, I can't deal with this. I can't, you know, I choose not to deal with this. I'm going, you know, I do something else. And I think that's what I love about this. It's, you know, and they call it like self-mastery, but if you can master yourself, you know, people around you change, you know, and the people that aren't meant for you, they will change too. And that will change as to whether they're in your life or not, you know what I mean? And that has to, you know, that kind of has to be okay. And, you know, self-mastery and self-acceptance, true self-acceptance, accepting all of you for all of you, it sometimes comes at a price, you know? Yeah. And you know, you have to wonder whether that's worth more. And that, you know, for me, I'm worth that every time, over and over. I have to be for me and the people around me to be the best person that I can be. But I think that's what I love about, you know, all the tools that I've learned and I've picked up, is they do work like everything in life works. If you apply the right method, you get the great result.
Yeah.
You know, with everything, how to build a house, everything, you know.
You're so right, Em. And I think just if people listen and choose to watch this or comment or speak or see it later, by just thinking about what you say and the advice that's given, it could actually prevent you from going into crisis.
Oh,
it
gosh,
could support
massively,
you from getting there. Yeah.
Massively. I remember I had a turning point when I was in like a massive panic attack one time, and I was flat spinning. My heart was flying, and I didn't really know this. Well, I knew it, but I was like, yeah, this, I don't believe this. I don't believe it. Until almost one day, I looked at myself in the mirror and stared into my own eyes as I was like, you know, throwing up, and I was in a state. I was shaking. I was in a right state, and just shut myself in the bathroom, and I looked in the mirror and I looked into my own eyes, and I kind of almost like did my proverbial, like if I could have got hold of my own face, I was like, you're fine. And I don't know what compelled me to do it. I think you just get these moments of something, or you hear something, and at some point there's like that weird nagging voice. It's like, try this, and you're in such a spin of something else.
You just do it, don't you?
And I was like, I was just like, I think it was just that I was so sick of feeling like I was feeling.
Yeah.
And something snapped, and I just looked at myself into my own eyes. And I was like, you're fine. You're fine. And I just talked to myself, because before that I was like, God, why is this happening? And I was in like deep hate of the anxiety, the panic attacks on myself. Complete. So I keep looking over there because you're like on this side of the screen. But yeah, I was in complete, you know, complete hate. And that, again, that acceptance and that esteem and that, you know, that hatred, it's like all the stuff we've just talked about that belief system. And, you know, it was backing up this part of me that I hated, which I've taken the past part of 8 years to get to know and to claw back and claim back and pull all those parts of me, anxiety, pain, trauma, back. Now, yeah, that's a journey, and that's a whole other story, you know. But it's like, if you want to go there, you know, you're going to have to want to own all those parts.
Yeah.
And some of them, you know, some of them hurt, some of them are gnarly, but I think it was a massive turning point as every little building block kind of happened to me. But yeah, it was self-talk, affirmations, call it whatever you will. You know, talking to myself, you know, they say, oh, be your greatest cheerleader. I'm like, well, this is how, you know, there's all these little quotes that get thrown around, and, you know, you think you can, you think you can't, you're right both times. Yeah, you are. This is why. There's a psychology, there's a neuroscience behind, there's a history of us living in caves, you know, there's a reason and studies behind, which is the techniques and stuff that my work's based upon. But yeah, so I hope you guys loved it, and I hope you enjoy it, and please reach out if there's any questions. If you even want me to look at your affirmations and need a little gift in them, and just for me to rework them a bit, if, you know, because I might look at them and be like, oh, that, I see where you're going with that, and it's great. Let's just
tweak it. Yeah,
you know, and then once you start, you know, you start doing that, you'll start speaking like that, you'll start training the brain, and it is a training. It's like everything. You don't just start working in a job and know it day one. You don't. You make mistakes, you ask, you drop off the wagon a little bit, and then you come back, and then you realize, did I feel better when I did I feel better when I didn't? Okay, there's your choice.
It's a learning process, isn't it?
Yeah. You know, very much, you know, suck it and see, try whatever, alchemize this, you know, to a degree within the parameters of kind of what I've said, because obviously there's a science, there's a psychology behind how it works. But yeah,
there's an amazing video actually that one of the admin guys, Carl Clues, put on, and it basically, at first I thought it was sperm. I'm like, what on earth is he sharing to the group? But it's not. It's actually a neurological pathway forming. It is incredible. And Dr. Joseph Delaney, who's also part of the group and did my interview, he's a neurological professor. And he, you know, you can, the way that you can repeatedly tell yourself something, you will form that neurological pathway in your brain.
Oh yeah, it's phenomenal. It is. I was listening to, I'm in another group, and it's a private video, otherwise I'd share it, but I physically can't. It's by Deepak Chopra. So everyone knows Deepak Chopra, the Indian kind of guy. I don't know, he's like a bit of a guru. He was a neuroscientist, and he basically started his work, and he started realizing that these points in our brain that are Indian style yoga philosophy chakras that we called are also brain, throat, heart, gut, sex organs, stomach,
soul, like that.
You know, and all of those they have the same. I can't, again, not a neuroscientist, but it blew me away, and I'll have to see if I can share it, because I made notes. It's phenomenal, and his work started 30 years ago, and this is how his book started getting published, because he realized that the same proteins that were made in the brain were made in the heart and in the gut, because it was, and this is, it goes back to what I'm trying to say, is the mind-body connection is so strong that the stuff that we make in here, we also make in our heart. They call them neuropeptides, and it's a protein, and it kind of affects, and we make them in other areas of our brain, so that in other areas of our body, like we do in our brain. So when they have this second brain aspect, or this, you know, this heart aspect, it's such a connection. That was when he first started realizing his work, because he's quite into like yoga and chakras and that aspect, but he's also a neuroscientist, and I get fascinated by people that tread the board between both. And yeah, absolutely fascinated me, because and that's it. And I said on my other video about the pathways, when we keep telling ourselves, you know, you walk down those steps, and you walk down those steps, and you let little grooves in it, and then you've got to walk on the edge of the step and make a new groove. And it's so much easier to keep walking down the middle where everyone's made those grooves. You know? It's a challenge, but it's a challenge worth taking if you want to make that change. And that is a choice. You have complete autonomy over choosing what words you use to yourself. You really do. So you then technically have, you know, your words affect how you, I think Dr. Wayne Dyer, he says, you know, your what's he say? Does he say your words affect your, hold on, let's see if I've got it written down. He says where is it?
Well, Sally says you're really good, love it, and your approach as well. So that's just a compliment back at you. You inspire me, Emma, you really do. And
bless you.
I hope that can resonate with other people, because when you were just saying about those steps and coming out of the groove, it can be quite uncomfortable, but that to me is like, you've got to get into the uncomfortable to become comfortable. But if you're uncomfortable, they've got a little bit of fear that drives you, but it's great to see what's at the other end of that.
Totally. Yeah, I think I can't find it. I think Wayne Dyer, he says something like our thoughts create our feelings, and we create our thoughts and our thoughts create our feelings. So and if you say, oh no, I don't create my feelings, I don't create what I think, and he's like, well, if you don't, then tell me who does and send them to me and I'll have a word. And when you hear it like that, you think, oh yeah, it is on me. And it is a challenge, but it is, to start with, it's like anything in life is a challenge, anything you start doing, until you get used to it. But it's so worth it, and you do control what you think, you really do. It's just that some of those naughties, those slightly more unhelpful ones, have grooved at those steps, and they're like the old houses, like, and it's so well trodden, and there's a whole thing to do with how we program our brain and what we think, that you can make the new, I think it's called it's neuroplasticity, and it's basically where your brain's used as a muscle, and the more you do something, the more you it's the same thing that when we want to buy a red VW, we see them everywhere because our brain backs that up.
That's really, because I got a Mocha recently and I can see them everywhere, and I'm like, yeah, you've got a good car.
So that again, that's something called your reticular activation system, and this goes a little bit more neuroscience-y, but kind of crosses into some of the bits of stuff that I do, but that I very superficially dip into that world, and I like an understanding in it. But yeah, there's something called neuroplasticity, which is basically it's how our brain kind of works to kind of like recognize the things that are around us and then back up what we're doing, and it's a muscle, and they do it, and people do it through meditation, and you can change your brain. The brain, they've done scans and stuff on brains where people meditate, people don't, and their ability to get into these certain states of deep subconscious relaxation. And
I know it's not exactly the same, but it's almost like deep sea divers, isn't it, when they actually go without the oxygen tanks and they hold their own breath, they have got to get into a state, and is it like something like 13 minutes somebody can go for without breathing?
And the guy under ice, that's all mindset. You get in those cold pools, you can either go in and be all like, oh, I'm gonna be freezing, tense up, or you can go in, you can lower yourself in, you can breathe really deeply, and again, links to the breath, doesn't it? There was another links to that, and you can, it is that mind over matter. If you're thinking about being in complete sovereignty and complete control and steadily, or you're gonna react because it's gonna be really cold, then you're gonna react, isn't it? Or you can controlled and be in there, like Wim Hof does loads of stuff to do with the ice baths and ice showers and stuff like that, and he swims underwater under holes he's phenomenal. And that again, I think he started doing that after his wife died. So again, I think a lot of these things, people look for stuff to help control those things that they struggle to, and hence these techniques and therapies and everything are born, because people do find, and again, it's a lot to do with breath, it's a lot to do with affirmation, it's reprogramming the brain, and it fascinates me. I think if I had my time over, gosh, fascinating, absolutely fascinating.
No, you can't have your time over again, not a chance, no way. You won't be so amazing as what you are today.
It's weird, isn't it, how you come to, an author that I follow, she always says, you are exactly where you're meant to be, and it's just like, oh, why didn't I do something like this years ago? And it's like I wasn't in a position in my brain, I wasn't ready to do and tackle, and for the reasons why, and we are our own story, aren't we? We are our own message, and that's all we can really be. And
you know what, from when we had our very own first private Zoom and I broke down and we did the mirroring work and things like that, I am not actively dieting, but I have done so much to promote good health for me that it's just dropping off now, and I don't even notice it.
That's amazing.
It's in, I don't step on scales or anything like that. I've noticed it in my clothes, and I'm far more comfortable, and I feel like I've grown 10 foot because my posture has now gone into the correct position, and I'm not in a lot of pain anymore. I used to be in pain with my shoulders, my back, and like I'd have sciatica, and actually I'm like, okay, I can actually tie my own shoelaces without being in agony.
It's amazing. mindset, isn't it? And you've switched. What have you switched doing to get there, Amy? What have you done? Have you been self-talking? Have you just been affirming? Have you just been...
I've been kinder to myself. Yeah. I've just said, like this week, I've really struggled. I've been really exhausted. I've got up, I've helped the kids get ready, but Andy's been at home and he's taken them, and I've gone back to bed, and I've gone, no, I'm not going to beat myself up. This isn't the start of my journey where I don't get out of bed. I'm going to bed because I am tired and need to rest. And then I make sure I get up and I carry on with the day.
Yeah, and that's it. And that's, you know, it's difficult, isn't it, if you've struggled and stuff in the past and you associate something with something. And I think I was talking to somebody the other day about like relocating where they're at. So if the bedroom doesn't work for you, go and snuggle down in the lounge and put all the pillows on the floor and den it. You know what I mean? Go somewhere else and nest yourself. And, you know, like just nest in somewhere different. So if you change that environment, you change that mindset. So that's an amazing thing to do.
Dare to be different.
Dare to be different, indeed. But yeah.
Emma, we are at 7. You are such an incredible, wonderful human being. Thank you for being a part of this group. You are amazing.
As are you, Amy. As are you.
Thank you, my darling. Thank you so much.
Take care.
Yeah, anybody who's got any comments, Emma will catch up, and so will I. And we just wish you a good evening. Thank you. I wish you a really good evening as well, Em.
Take care.
Take it easy. Bye, darling. Bye, everyone.